Hey, this is Kirk, the bariatric carnivore. Well, I just want to remind you that no one can look after you except for you. And if you are trying to rely on government, big pharma, big medicine, your doctor even, to look after you and your health, you're looking in the wrong place because their incentives are all wrong. The system is not set up for you and to get you healthy or to cure you of your disease. And one of my favorite examples of that is the disease of hepatitis C. And this is a horrible disease. It destroys the liver, it kills people slowly, and the cost of treatment of that disease was prohibitively expensive. It was costing Medicare billions of dollars trying to keep these people alive. And along comes this company that comes up with a cure, not a treatment, but an absolute cure for hepatitis C. Wonderful day. Well, when they were meeting with investors for this, it was a guy from Goldman Sachs who said, is curing the disease a sustainable business model? And that kind of sent a shockwave throughout the whole pharmaceutical industry because everybody realized, investors want to invest in treatments. They don't want to invest in cures. Curing a disease does not solve the problem. Matter of fact, it makes things worse for the pharmaceutical companies. When you've got a treatment, when you can take a drug and you can build out that cost over the lifetime of a patient, you can make the drug affordable, you make it a lot easier to get insurance companies to buy off on it because the drug cost is going to be scattered out over 20 years versus a single treatment option. And single treatment options are more expensive, which means the insurance companies are going to be more likely not to want to do it. And you maybe sit there going, wait a minute, shouldn't the insurance company want to cure the disease? Think about the cost of hepatitis C. When they came up with the cure, it saved the taxpayers over $15 billion just by ending, because we could cure the disease and end the treatment of it. $15 billion savings. But that's not the way the insurance companies look at it because, look, since Obamacare, what their model is based on is their premiums and how much they can charge and how big they can grow is really based on a couple of things. One of them is how much do they bring in terms of premiums. And remember, their profit margin is fixed. It is set by the federal government. So, they also have to balance that out. We've got this much coming in premiums. This is how much we are spending as far as treatments are concerned. And, providing benefit, quote unquote, to the patients. And, we've got to balance that out. And they're caught up in a weird algorithm that is not looking at outcomes. They do not care about you and your health. What they care about is their bottom line. And this is why United Healthcare is being sued, because they have found an algorithm that is arbitrarily denying people coverage for things even though they should be covered for it, which means you have to go into lawsuits to try to get treatments which you should be able to get automatically. Because they behave with a complete callous disregard for your health, they're looking after their bottom lines because their fiduciary responsibility is to their shareholders, not to you at the end of the day. Look, in this whole horrible system, it's a psychopathic system. It behaves with a complete callous disregard for you and your health. The only one that can look after you and your health is you. And there's no one in this horrible system that is really looking after your health, which means, if you want to get healthy, do not look toward the healthcare system. Do not look toward big pharma. They are not looking to cure your disease. They're trying to make you a customer for life. So the more you can look at drugs, not as a cure, but as a crutch. And I'm not completely against pharmaceuticals. They have benefit. Antibiotics, when you need them for certain infections that your body cannot clear, they can be lifesavers. And the problem is that we overuse them. And we try to use them for viral infections, and they have no effect on viruses. And as a result, the overall effectiveness of these wonderful drugs is being lost. Take a look at GLP-1s. GLP-1s are could be very effective drugs to help people bridge from going from a standard American diet, help them overcome addictions to ultra-processed food and stuff like that. And if you use them successfully, and some doctors are using them very successfully for short periods of time to help people get over an addiction to sugars and other things. And sugar addiction is a very real thing. I mean, and it's tough. So you use that as kind of a bridge to help somebody get over a particular problem, and use it as part of a treatment regimen to help them cure a particular problem. They're fantastic drugs, but that's not the way Big Pharma wants to sell it. They want to sell you a drug that you're going to be spending $1,000 a month for the rest of your life to not cure the problem, but to treat it. Same thing with antidepressants and other drugs. These things are only tested for maybe a couple months at the max, yet they want to put you on that drug for life without really testing the long-term side effects. And the government isn't demanding that Big Pharma, they invest a lot of money in Big Pharma, but they invest money into treatments, because that seems to be the easiest path of least resistance, not cures. And like I keep saying, it is a horrible system that is designed to keep you dependent on them to look after their shareholders, but it is not looking after you. The only one who can look after you is you. And the sooner you realize that, the better off we all are going to be. The point of this is, look, learn how to become healthy. Get yourself independent on that system. Yes, it may really mess up Big Pharma, your dependence on the government and all those agencies. It may end your dependence on your insurance company and everything else. So what? You're healthy. At the end of the day, you win, they lose. That's life. This is Kirk, the Bariatric Carnivore. I try to put out a couple messages each week. If you like this message, please hit the like and subscribe. Join this channel of other like-minded folks. I will talk to you again soon.